Okay, so we're here. We got a big hill climb right below us here, and we're gonna test all 4 of the bikes we have here today to see which one will pull the hardest. All the tracks are locked out in climbing mode. We tried to make everything as equal as it could be. So to start, we have 2 450s. One is a stock 450, one is a built 490, both of which are tuned though to be a little faster. Then our other 2 bikes, we have 2 500s. One is a stock 500 that's tuned, and then the other one is a 550 that is tuned, so it's built up a little bigger as well. So both 500s have an Aero 3 kit on them, and both of the 450s have a Riot 3, so that should help it equal out a little bit as well.
500 versus 550. All right, this is 450 versus 450.
Just again for reference, all of these bikes are tuned in some capacity. So they all have a much better pipe, they all have ECUs, and then we got throttle bodies.
Throttle bodies, they're port and polish. We had Lloyd Brothers Racing do all the work on the motors.
Okay, so it's actually kind of some interesting results because we raced the 500 side by side first, and they pulled pretty equal together. Like we actually were just neck and neck. I wouldn't say that either one was necessarily faster.
I'm a little heavier than you, and I was on the 550.
So maybe that's just enough to make up the difference.
But again, it's just such a small amount.
It's probably not it's definitely not a big enough difference to justify the money to upgrade it.
And we're both on an Aero 3, so that was good performance. So I really think the best snow bike right now is that, I mean, if you want the best of the best and money's not a problem, it's the newest 450 built, and then so everything's exhaust, tune, all the extras, and then the 490 gives it a little more oomph. But again, you're $8 grand more above the bike. You're spending 10 grand on the bike, and you're another $8 grand to make it do all that. But that bike with an Aero 3 is going to be the best, like pure mountain climbing beast mode.
So then the other interesting thing is we raced both 450 and 490, and the 490 smoked the 450. You were like four bike lengths ahead of me, which is pretty crazy.
I don't think it's worth the money on the 500s. Like, I don't know if I would buy a 500 again because of how much money you have to put into it.
A stock 450 can be a great bike with very minimal upgrades, but you pull a 500 out of the dealership and put a kit on it, it's horrible. Like, it won't go anywhere.
And you can make them amazing, but then you deal with some vibration and stuff like that. The 500s I feel are better for like intermediate riders. So we'll always keep a 500. It's a great buddy bike as our extra bike, because when we're inviting friends, haven't spent a lot of time on them, they can leave that thing in third gear. It's like a diesel. It's a tractor. There's more torque, it seems like. For advanced riders that love just to whip it, climb, and jump, there's that. The 450 hits the revs faster. So I know
it's
you
a
guys,
motocross bike.
You younger guys love the 450 because you're always in the right gear, and you got that pop. You have that high revving pop you can hit.
But if you're gonna go buy a brand new bike, you have to spend quite a bit of money to get a 500 to do that. Whereas a 450 stock, like bone stock, can pull super hard right out of the dealership.
Yeah, and for a few grand, you can do maybe $3 grand. You do the exhaust.
Yes, minimal things.
You can do the exhaust. You do an
ECU.
Tune. Yeah, the ECU, so a different box, so it can be tuned for that.
A few small things that you could actually pull off the bike if you were to switch bikes a few years down the road.
That is a nice thing with the 450 is that all that stuff should compatible. At the pipe, if they change the model, then you can't you can't change the pipe out. It's usually going to change a little bit on a new model bike, but yeah, the 450 is the cheapest option to go. Or if you want something that's just like a tractor, go anywhere, then you got to spend a bunch of money on the 501s.
So it still always comes down to opinion, but I think to end it, my ideal bike is still a 450 with a Riot 3. And then are you now switching over to 450? You think 450 now?
My favorite bike right now is a 450 built 450
with an Aero 3.
With an Aero 3.
Which Riot 3, Aero 3, we won't get into that because this is more about bikes, but that more comes down to just preference.
Yes.
Because they're both great.